Don Roberts is a 50-something journalist who has moved under sketchy circumstances from the East Coast to the West Coast in her early 20s, marries the guy that she came with, a guy named Dale, who is a talent manager, becomes very successful. She works for the LA Times for a while, then starts her own business. It's a entertainment website. Her husband dies of cancer during the COVID region, and so that allows her time not to go home. She doesn't enjoy going home, but she finally has to bring his ashes back and finds out that a friend of hers, former friend of hers named Joe Perkins, who had stolen the story that was the impetus for her fleeing town in her 20s, and he's ridden it to fame. He's making a movie about that story that he wrote, and she is the villain, and she has to unpack both trying to take her story back and to clear both her name and her late husband's name, but deal with a lot of things she left behind, like her parents, her sister, who was a whistleblower in the story, who she's never really made peace with, her mother, who is sometimes kind of quiet about how she left, sometimes not, her husband's family, a guy that she knew when she was younger, who perhaps, spoiler alert, maybe he's important again, nobody can say. And just sort of like what happens when you realize that the story that you've been telling in your head is maybe like not everybody else's version. Because she thinks that Joe is telling the bad version because he stole it, but also the story that she's told herself about what she owed to her family, or how she left town, a responsibility to the job that she left in the middle, literally in the middle of the night. And so she's been able to piece together over 25 years, 30 years, the thing that makes her feel better about the choices she made. But when you come home, you have to confront those things. And it's up to you to figure out how to parse them. So that's where Dawn is. You mentioned Darlene Love because there's this character, Miss Vivi, who is Vivian St. Clair. And she is based on people like, to me, Darlene Love and Mary Wilson and Diane Carroll's Dominique Devereaux, uh, for the style points, and obviously Diana Ross and all of these women, anybody that Jennifer Lewis ever played, um, these very specific 60s to early 80s divas who were very fabulous, but had lots of stories that involved like husbands and money and furs and stuff. But there was a real thing under it that was probably racism, sexism, and all this other stuff. And that's what part of made these people larger than life. So Vivian is a woman that she interviews, and she has, I'm not going to give it away, but she has significance. She keeps popping up through the book, like a little like weird Jiminy Cricket. And she has some wisdom and some foresight into what Dawn is going through that Dawn does not immediately understand. And she's just fun. And it got more and more ridiculous. My editor was like, "Can you make this less wacky?" I'm like, "No." Okay. So I lopped off teeny tiny bits, but she is as nutty as she is. But once again, people like that, there's always a reason behind it.
No.
Baltimore as a character, Baltimore is my favorite. If people only know The Wire, they don't think about the history, they don't think about how it's like Fort McHenry's there, and the first Washington Monument in Patterson Park, which was a staging area for tanks for the War of 1812, for cannons and stuff for the well, no tanks, cannons and stuff for the War of 1812, um, during which the Star Spangled Banner was written. There's like weird stuff there, and it's very ethnically diverse city. It's at this point I'd say 60% black. It's very and also the Greek neighborhoods and the Italian neighborhoods. I live in a neighborhood that was formerly very Polish, and there's still a church down the street that does a mass in Polish. So it's just a deeply interesting city of people who usually stay or they leave and come back. I left and came back, never thought I would come back, but I did. Yeah, Baltimore is just quirky and just so much more than people give it credit for. I'm kind of in love with it. I also love her sister, Dawn's sister Tanya, who is the whistleblower, because she's like, people have personalities in families, and she's sort of like, she's kind of tart on the level, and Dawn thinks of herself as the reasonable one, but really maybe she's not. Maybe they're in some ways they're very much alike. and Tanya has a tendency to be sarcastic about things or to be like, girl, what'd you do? But there's a pain behind it because she felt that her sister betrayed her, but she wasn't really able to say it, or she didn't follow through with what she thought she was going to do. So, eh, relationships, as the book title tells you, are very complicated. And calamities, families can often be a calamity. Also, they can be the beautiful thing that save you.